What's good, everyone? It's Nigel here, Trinidad Empowerment Network. So today I wanted to jump in and do a part two to a video I did yesterday, congratulating the UNC on their victory. And of course, despite congratulating the UNC on their victory, I still had some UNC haters in the comments. I don't get it. You're being sore. You're being sore winners. I've never seen anyone being a sore winner. Congratulations, you won. Well done. Okay. Let's move on now. Today I wanted to speak directly to you about something critical happening in Trinidad and Tobago. I want to talk about our economic dependence on America, on the United States, and why it's high time we start rethinking our future, our allegiances to the United States. Because I don't know how much attention you pay to the news, and I imagine you guys do, seeing that you watch my videos. America is changing fast. And they are becoming more and more isolated. And for decades now, our country has leaned heavily on the United States. Not just as a trading partner, but almost like a financial parent, a big brother, almost, you know? In 2024 alone, we exported around 3.2 billion US dollars worth of goods to the United States. 3.2 billion was exported to the United States, right? We subsequently imported around 2.9 billion in return. 3.2 billion export, 2.9 billion in return. That makes America our number one trading partner, with roughly 37% of our exports and 39% of our imports go directly through America. Now, here's the problem. Being over-reliant on one country, especially one that's in serious economic and political turmoil right now, is like being over-dependent on your parents as an adult. It might feel safe for a while, but when your parents start losing their assets, if they do, or their situation changes, if they pass away, for example, or they simply say no, you are left stranded. And a perfect example of this, a perfect example of our parents, America, saying no, was the Dragon's Gas deal. Now, not many people in Trinidad knew about the Dragon's Gas deal. I don't want to insult anyone's intelligence, but when I talked about this on previous videos, people were clearly clueless based on some of the comments I had about it. This project could have provided major energy relief and economic gains to Trinidad and Tobago. Major. But the project was killed not by us, not by Venezuela, but by Donald Trump. Donald Trump's foreign policy killed that deal. We are supposed to be a sovereign nation. I mean, if there was any proof that we're not, this is it. Sovereignty means we are in charge of ourselves. We decide who we do trade with. This is my house. I decide who I let in. Not America, not Donald Trump. The irony is, it's getting worse. Because Trump has recently announced tariffs, as you guys, if you pay attention to the news, on just about every country on the planet. These tariffs are wreaking havoc on the US economy. They've estimated to have lost about 21 trillion from their economy. I'd have to research that. But they've lost trillions. Economists like Richard Wolff, someone I listen to quite a lot, are warning of an impending recession in America. And if the US goes into recession, let's be honest and let's be real. It ain't no way they're buying oil and gas from Trinidad.
We have major breaking news right now. JP Morgan is officially predicting a recession in 2025, in this year, because of Donald Trump's tariffs, because of how badly the market is reacting. The Dow Jones dropped 2,000 points today. Folks, that's only happened 4 times in American history. The S&P 500 lost more than $5 trillion worth of value. Investors are nervous, investors are scared, and they're conducting mass sell-offs right now in the stock market. And JP Morgan, one of the largest banks on Wall Street, is now predicting that the United States will enter a recession this year. Now, what that means for you, that means that there will be layoffs at jobs. That means that the hiring market will slow down. That means things will cost more when you go to the grocery store, when you go to buy electronics, when you go to buy a vehicle. We're not there just yet, but we're very close. And it looks like we're going to get there. I'll provide you updates every step of the way. I'll do a full breakdown on my Substack, linked in my bio at the top of the link tree. So please go check that out and follow along for all the news you need to know about.
If they go into recession, they will cut back on the oil and gas that they purchase from Trinidad. And believe me, that is going to hit us real hard. We are not self-sufficient. We barely manufacture anything. We don't produce enough food to feed our own people. We import nearly 80% of our food. That is a national security risk crisis at hand. The fact that we import 80% of our food, I mean, it's almost laughable if it wasn't so serious. In a country where we could easily grow our own food, we import 80% of it. We are also not investing in things like renewable energy, nowhere near the rate that we should be. And yes, there have been talk of solar farms and energy diversification, but we are crawling while the rest of the world is sprinting. Those are the 2 things that any country need to be sustainable: food and energy. And we don't provide enough to feed ourselves. We're constantly borrowing from the neighbor. At some point, the neighbor is going to say no, or they're going to run out themselves. So for me, this isn't about party politics. For me, if the PNM had won the election, I'd be talking exactly the same way I'm talking now. I believe this is a systemic failure of leadership in Trinidad and Tobago, regardless of who's in power, like I've just said. No administration has meaningfully tackled these issues. None. UNC, PNM, none of them have tackled it, right? I believe we've stayed too comfortable relying on America, relying on our parents. But we've grown up now. We're adults now. It's embarrassing how much we rely on America. And as America starts declining, we risk going down with them. This is a problem we face now. The decline, the falling of an empire, and we're going down with them if we do not change course. America's folding, ladies and gentlemen. You only have to look at Donald Trump and the chaos he's causing. They are in decline. Mark my words. I'm telling you now. Everyone's talking about their foreign exchange and how we can't get any. Well, we need to start doing stuff now to get that money into the country. Struggling to compete. America's clearly struggling to compete with the likes of China and BRICS and I'd say this, right? America has 4% of the world population. The BRICS pack has 60% of the world's population. Currently, even America's own allies, Canada, France, Brazil, are shifting their attention towards China. BRICS has 60% of the world's population. America has 4%. Who would you rather do a deal with? The US empire is falling. I'm going to keep saying it. The US empire is falling, and we're watching it in real time. Yet, I don't see our government doing a single thing to prepare us. Not a single thing. Nothing in their manifesto. I'm still waiting to see what the UNC manifesto is. Maybe someone who knows could put it in the comments and we could dissect it. I see no diversification. I see no new trading alliances. I see no real investment in food production or energy dependence. All I see is us sitting back and watching America burn. And if America burns, Trinidad and Tobago will burn right along with it. This isn't about party politics, ladies and gents. This isn't about UNC versus PNM, yellow is a code, or any nonsense. This is about us. This is about Trinidad. We don't have to accept that fate. That's the only positive I see. We do not have to accept this fate. That's the optimism in me. We can choose to stand on our own 2 feet. We can demand that our leaders take action. It's going to be on you. They're clearly happy to sit back and do whatever they do. We have to grow our industries. We have to reestablish our sovereignty. That's important to any nation, any country. Not just sovereignty in name only, but in actual practice. In actual practice. We are sovereign in name only. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing, I'm telling you. This is not just an economic issue that we face in Trinidad. This is a survival issue. This is the very survival of our nation, Trinidad and Tobago. I don't want to sound overly dramatic, but this, for me, is the very survival of Trinidad and Tobago and a lot of other Caribbean islands as well who depend on America. But like I said, we don't have to accept that fate. We can choose to stand on our own 2 feet. Trinidad needs to invest in its people. That's the first thing. We need to grow our industries. Our industries, not foreign industries. We need to grow our own. We need to reestablish our sovereignty. Like I've said, that's important. And what does that actually look like? What does that actually look like for us? What do we need to do? Let's talk about 5 concrete things that I believe we need to do moving forward. Because I don't want to come on here and just talk about how bad things are. I like to put things in place, ideas in place to get you thinking. To know I'm just not on here waffling to you. 5 concrete steps we can take right now. We need to be self-sufficient, especially if America is in decline, like I've said. So, I would say the number 1, the first thing we need to do is address the food security strategy. This is a national security issue, I'm telling you. We need to invest in agriculture at every level. Government should be giving loans to farmers. You, the individual, should be planting your own food in your back garden. Trust me. Start with small farmers is what the government needs to do, in my opinion. They need to give them land access, grants for equipment, not just loans, grants for equipment. We need to create national incentives to grow rice, root crops, poultry, and basic vegetables that can reduce our food import bills. Those are the basic needs. Those are the basic needs that we need. We need to reduce our food import bills. 80% we import. You look at countries like Burkina Faso, despite being landlocked and dry as anything, they've prioritized food independence by empowering rural farmers and banning food imports in strategic areas. If they could do it, believe me, Trinidad are way ahead of them. If they could do it, we can do it. That's number one, food. Number two, I believe we need to expand our manufacturing. Basic goods. We need to invest in manufacturing. Basic goods, from school supplies to hygiene products. We import way, way too much. So I believe Trinidad must create state-backed industrial parks and offer tax-free zones for local manufacturing to get the economy stimulated. Burkina Faso is building textile and agro-processing plants, and all this is to reduce the reliance on French imports. We need to adapt the same mindset. We need to become self-sufficient. We must stop relying on America. I don't see anything from either party in their manifesto to suggest any of that. Number three, we need to build regional trade alliances, CARICOM or Africa. If the US goes into recession, our survival will depend on regional solidarity. Our survival will depend on regional solidarity. We must deepen our ties with CARICOM and even consider direct trade with African nations. The BRIC Pack, places that are open to partnership and mutual benefit without political conditions, like we saw with America, the Dragon's Gas deal, and us falling foul of geopolitics. Trump hated Maduro, we lost the deal. What on earth has that got to do with Trinidad? We fell foul to the neighbors arguing, and Trinidad paid the price. Number four, we need to invest heavily in renewable energy. Oil and gas won't save us. Eventually, we're going to run out of it. We're already searching everywhere to find more. We're going to run out of it, and the world's changing anyway. The world's moving towards solar energy, wind energy, hydro energy. These are just buzzwords. These are not just buzzwords. These are survival tools. These are survival tools. We must decentralize our energy grid and empower rural communities with small-scale solar farms, renewable energy. Excuse me. If you look at Burkina Faso and parts of Burkina Faso, parts of Ghana, they've started doing exactly this. Renewable energy. This gives people power. Literally gives people power. Economically and in the physical sense. And finally, I think number five, we need to rebuild our sovereignty. We can't be sovereign in name only. Banking, the finance system. If we want to be truly free, we need to control, or we need control over how we save, spend, and invest. We need control over that. We can't rely on big banks, and we need to invest in credit unions and community banks and microfinance to support entrepreneurships and businesses, small businesses, etc., etc. We need to stop relying on these huge multinational investors, these foreign investors. We need to build our own. I believe Trinidad and Tobago has the potential. Those are just 5 things I mentioned I think we need to do immediately. We have the potential to be a self-sufficient nation. We have the land, We have the brains. What we lack is real leadership. I believe we lack real leadership. Leadership with a vision. Leadership with a vision. And a public, you guys and girls, you beautiful guys and girls, willing to demand or see that vision through. Self-sufficiency is not just a dream, it's a necessity. It's a necessity. Because if America crashes, like I believe they will, and all signs point to trouble ahead, believe me, no one's coming to save Trinidad and Tobago. No one. So it's high time we save ourselves. And that's how I'd like to end today's video. Stay empowered, stay informed, stay bold. Like and subscribe, Trinidad Empowerment Network, and I'll see you guys on the next video. For now, much love, God bless, take care, peace.